Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the 559 Big Picture podcast, where we aim to show what the big picture family here really is.
What's it say? Does it say we're recording?
I think we are recording.
Oh, there we go. We're recording, man.
All right. Well, here I am interviewing Mr. Shankles, my advisory teacher, since, well, really the beginning of high school.
Since COVID.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's crazy.
I know, huh?
See, I didn't really have that regular freshman experience where, I'm lost in the hallways, don't know where my classes are, because I never had to do that.
Yep, that's right. We were lost in a Zoom box.
Exactly. And, I'm glad that we could to see each other in person now.
Amen.
Amen. Okay. So I will be asking you a few questions, and
Awesome.
If you have any questions, raise your hand. Okay, so my first question is, when did you start teaching?
Well, I started teaching, I guess it was, 2015, as a substitute teacher. I started teaching in 2015, yeah. So that was, 7 or 8 years ago.
7 or 8 years, oh my God.
Yeah, I know, huh? That's like half your lifetime.
I know, 2015, I think it was like 7 or maybe, I don't know, but I still believed in Santa that time.
Oh, yeah. That's okay. I still believe in Santa, so.
So number 2, what made you want to start teaching?
Oh, that's a great question, Michael. Yeah. When I was in high school, my family went through their fair share of issues, and so I was having a pretty hard time. And my teachers and my coaches were there to support me. Probably more so my coaches than my teachers, but I still had some support from teachers too. And so when I was a junior, it was either a junior or senior in high school, I realized that my teachers and coaches were very supportive of me and helped me through those challenging times in my family. And so I sat down and I wrote future Nate a letter. And in that letter, there were like 3 or 4 things I said I wanted to be. And the first one was I wanted to be a good Christian. And the second one was I wanted to be a good husband and father. Mm-hmm. I kind of lumped those two together. And the third one was I wanted to be a good teacher and coach, because those were the people who had helped me out in a time when I really needed it. So that is, I don't even remember the questions you asked, but that's how I got into teach or wanted to go into teaching. But then I went away to college. I studied economics. I worked at a bank during college. They asked me to become a manager after I graduated. I did that for a short time, did not like it at all. I don't think I was ready for that level of responsibility at that age.
Yeah.
And then, so I quit that job, and I got a job as a sales rep at a publishing company, and I enjoyed that very much. And they asked me to manage their custom publishing division, which is just me and then an assistant. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed that a lot too, but it wasn't a very fulfilling job. Mm-hmm. And so by this point in time, I'm 25 or 26 years old. I was single. I didn't have a family. And so I was lacking that fulfillment piece to life. I don't know a better way to describe it.
Yeah.
And so I said, I need to go back to what I originally wanted to do, which was teaching, because I thought that would give me that fulfillment piece of life that I wasn't getting in my sales job at the publishing company. And so I thought, if I don't do this now, I'll never do it. And if I never do it, then I'll always look back and think, man, you wanted to do that, you never did it. What would it have looked like if you did that, if you went into teaching? Yeah. So that's when I started taking my first education classes at Simpson University in Reading. That's where I lived, in Reading, and that was probably in 2014 when I started taking those classes.
Wow. And you said there were people in your life that helped you, where you are today. Can you name a few of those teachers that you helped you out?
Oh, yeah. So you said name some teachers. There are a handful that come to mind. One is Mr. Burkett in second grade. Another one was Mr. Silva.
We're going way back.
Well, these are the teachers that came to mind. These weren't necessarily the ones who made me want to become a teacher, but these are the ones who stood out to me. Mr. Burkett in second grade, he played the piano and told stories, and it was awesome. And then who was there? Who else? Oh, Mr. Silva in sixth grade. He was the first teacher who sent me out of the classroom, but I deserved it. I deserved it.
Wait, what did you do?
You know what? It was actually a case of guilty by association.
Oh.
I showed something to a friend during class that just wasn't the right time, and then that student had an outburst. He said, "Silverman." And I was just like, I don't know where that came from. And anyways, so I was sitting next to him, so I got sent out of the classroom as well. That's the first class where I got a D on something. Oh my goodness, I had never gotten a D before. And so, but Mr. Silva was a great teacher, and he taught me geography. I remember that, taught us geography. Seventh grade was Miss Peters. She was crazy, but she loved her students, and she wanted us to do well, and she made us perform. She made us do well. Like we would have to memorize poems and then say them in her class.
Poems?
Yeah.
Oh my.
In seventh grade English. And she would make us get up in front of the class and say them, even if we couldn't stand it, didn't want to, or whatever. She pushed us really hard. And then in high school, the one that really comes to mind is Coach Trueblood. And he was a man of few words. But that was the point in time in my life when my family was going through some problems. Mm-hmm. And if your family's ever gone through problems, then you know that just upsets the whole balance of life.
Yeah.
And so he's the one who helped me through that time. I don't think he even knew that he helped me, but he did. And it's sad and unfortunate, but well, I'll get to the sad and unfortunate part. He became an excellent football coach. He led our high school to state football playoffs, which was big for our school. We'd never gotten that far before. This was after I had graduated, but he led the school to state football playoffs, and just was an amazing football coach. And then, at like the age of 50, he got a rare lung disease. This was only 2 years ago. And within 4 weeks of being diagnosed of the disease, he had passed away.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But anyways, that's the sad and unfortunate part. But he was a great coach and a good teacher, and he helped me through a difficult time. And so it was him combined with a couple others that really influenced me to want to become more so a coach than a teacher.
That was also one of my next questions. Have you ever wanted to be a coach?
Yes.
Because to me, in my eyes, you're a pretty athletic person, really. Like you help some, even after school, you even help like the students weight lift.
Yeah.
And like you get kids in. And have you always wanted to do stuff like that?
That's a great question. So yeah, I wanted to be a coach more so than a teacher, because in high school for me it was the coaches who made more of a difference. But as an adult, you just start to get other responsibilities, and you realize that you gotta provide for your family. Mm-hmm. And coaching is one of those things that takes a lot of time and doesn't pay a lot of money. Mm. And it's not all about the money, but for me, having a family is a huge priority in my life. And if I'm going to be spending significant time away from my family, then I want it to be worth my while.
Yeah.
And Mr. Church is a coach. Mr. Crouch was a coach. My father-in-law is a head coach. And I've talked with all of them, and they say that if you're just looking at it from a dollars and cents perspective, the amount of time you spend coaching is not worth it.
Yeah.
And the reason I went into coaching teaching was to get that fulfillment aspect of life, to fill that hole in my heart, so to speak. Well, along the way of becoming a teacher, I also met my wife, and we had some kids, and so that filled that hole in my heart, right? Mm-hmm. So anyways, that's I don't know if that answers your question, but yes, I have considered coaching, but given what I've heard from just about
other people who experience and who have that job, it's not worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's understandable. Yeah. I also want to get back to the teaching part.
Sure.
Because, you are pretty like I would say, you do tough love when it comes to internships. Like I don't want to say you put pressure, not pressure on them, but you like make sure they do get some sort of internship,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
really help them and commit to get one.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten an internship in high school, or was that ever in your high school? Or
Oh yeah, yeah. Are you kind of trying to understand why I put so much emphasis on it?
yeah,
That's a great question, Michael. No, I did not have an internship when I was in high school. I wish I would have. I think that would have been an excellent thing for me. The reason why I place so much emphasis on internships in our class is because I honestly think that as long as you guys have basic literacy skills and basic math skills, even if you don't have great science skills or a full understanding of history, if you have good written and spoken communication skills, and if you can do basic arithmetic, you can be successful in life.
yeah,
So I don't put a whole lot of emphasis on the academic side of things. I put a whole lot more emphasis on the experience
yeah,
side of things. I think that students in high school getting experience in real workplaces, real organizations, real businesses is so valuable. It puts you ahead of the competition. It puts you ahead of all the other high school students who don't have that. And it shows you what's important out there in the real world. Sometimes what's important out there in the real world isn't what school says is important.
yeah.
And so we do things in school, but quotes around that, that
Quote,
we may
school.
never, you may never use outside of the classroom. And that's a travesty.
Yeah.
Because it's wasting your time and it's wasting mine.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna use long division to pay my rent. You know what I'm saying?
You'll bust out your phone and
I'll-
you'll use the calculator
Yes,
on your phone
yes,
and you'll,
yes,
yeah, exactly. You'll figure it out that way. So anyways, that's why I put so much emphasis on internships, because that's what I think is important.
More important. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree on that. So I wanted to ask you, what is probably your biggest goal for this year?
My biggest
Your
goal
biggest
for
goal.
this year.
I know you always ask me and everybody else around you,
Yeah.
but now I'm gonna turn the tables on you. What is your probably
that's
biggest
a
goal?
great question, man. So are you asking like in my personal life or in my professional life or just yes, all of the above?
Either one.
Either one?
Yeah.
Boy, that's a great question, Michael. I feel a little bit like a hypocrite because I don't have the answer on the tip of my tongue, and yet I ask you guys what your goals are all the time, right?
Remember, it's recording.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, ooh. Yeah, pause it. What's my biggest goal? You know, I would say the most important goal in my life right now is to just make sure that my faith is on track. That's what's most important to me because that's what I think has the longest term impact. And I know it's like with anything else, there are ups and downs. And I know lately there have been some downs when it comes to my faith. And so I need to work on that because that affects every aspect of my life. It affects my relationships here at school. It affects my relationships at home. And so, yeah, I would say my biggest goal right now is just making sure that that I'm faithful to my God and to what He teaches.
Amen. Amen. Now, speaking of, situations, I was wondering, how do you deal with stressful situations?
How do I deal? Well, you've probably seen me deal with
Yeah.
stressful situations in the classroom.
Oh, I've seen it once or twice.
Yeah. Sometimes I deal with them well, and sometimes I don't. You want me to tell you what I do, or what I should do,
Well,
or what would
I
be
think
effective?
I think I already know what you do, but I just maybe what
All right.
would you do, or either one? It doesn't matter.
Okay. So if I'm being my best self, then this is what I would do to help deal with stressful situations. Like, I guess I'm just going to say in general. I would journal about it That has been something that I learned probably in my mid-20s from a mentor that has been more helpful than any other single thing I can think of when dealing with a stressful situation. So I would journal about it. I would journal about what happened or what I was thinking, what I was feeling, why I think I was feeling that way. And then I would journal about what are some things I could do to solve this situation or to work on this situation. So I would journal about it. Another thing that I would do, that I should do, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, is I would pray about it.
Pray.
That helps me out a lot. Get up early in the morning and say my prayers and pray about those things that are stressing me out.
Mm-hmm.
And the third thing I'd do about it is find somebody who I trust to talk to about it. Not just someone I trust, but also someone who I think is wise.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times that person is my wife. But sometimes it can help to get an outside perspective on that as well. So I'll go to somebody else who I think is wise, whom I trust to help me with that stressful situation. And the last thing is working out.
Oh, working out? Yeah.
Oh, man. I have got to work out and eat healthy. If I don't work out or eat healthy, I'm done.
Now, when you said you would go to someone that you trust,
Yeah.
if, your whether your family was there, do you have anybody here that you can talk to?
Oh, yeah. There are, I guess, certain levels of trust. I mean, there's certain things you tell people and certain things you only tell other people, like the people real close to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like I can talk to Mr. Crouch about most things, and I do. And there are some things I would reserve for others, depending on how close I am to those people. So, yeah, I feel like I can talk to Mr. Crouch about most things.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's
guys,
great.
You guys are like best friends, really.
Yeah, we're good buddies, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
That's pretty cool. And what was probably the other career you wanted to do if you didn't want to do teaching?
Yeah. I guess there are two that come to mind. One would be real estate investor. I think that if I didn't have a family, I would pursue that more. But it's a very stressful career, and it's very much a feast or famine career. Yeah. And the other one, but if you do it well, you can become very wealthy. The other one would be a preacher.
A preacher?
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah, I preach once a month at a little church in Madera, and I really enjoy that, and I get a lot of good feedback on it. So that's probably what else I would do besides teaching.
Yeah. And how did the other jobs that you did before teaching kind of help you teach now?
Oh, great question. Great question. Well, I'll tell you, the other jobs, I guess they made me want to focus on the non-academic aspects of life when it comes to my teaching, because doing those other jobs showed me that, well, if I've got basic communication and basic arithmetic down, then it's a whole lot more about people skills than it is about whether I know Pythagoras' theorem. So that's why in my teaching, I guess I end up focusing less on the academic things. Oh, there's the old timer. Did that answer your question, Michael?
Yeah, because it kind of I was kind of thinking like you were gonna like, oh yeah, my last job I remember not to leave the door unlocked and stuff.
Oh,
so
yeah,
now
yeah,
that
yeah.
but like
You know what?
That's also pretty cool too, because they told you it was kind of like pretty much like the opposite way of what to do and what not to do.
So I'll tell you, this is what it pointed out to me. The value of people skills.
value people skills.
which is ironic because I feel like I don't practice those people skills very much. But in my past jobs, having quality people skills got me further than how much I knew about math or how much I knew about English or how much I knew about science or history or any of those things. It was all about working with people and establishing quality relationships with them.
That's great.
Yeah.
And we're out of time, but I think that was pretty much all of the questions that I had for you. Thank you so
Cool,
much,
man.
Mr. Shankles.
I enjoyed this. This was fun.
I know, being my first me being the interview. I think that's pretty cool. So thank you so much.
That was great, bud. Good work.
Yep. Before I go, I want to give a big thanks to my advisory teacher, Mr. Shankles. Thank you so much for being my first person that I get to interview. It really means the world to me. And thank you guys so much for listening if you actually did. And remember, be loving, be kind, and most importantly, be humble. Bye.